I'm coming. Hey there, Grateful Gang. It's Lauren Blanchard Zalewski. Welcome to Gratefully Living the Chronic Life. Today is our 1-year anniversary of my first broadcast. It was April 9th, I think I saw. April 9th, 2020 was my very first broadcast. So we're having a little 1-year anniversary celebration today. I've got an amazing guest who is now my new best friend, Kristi Nelson from A Network for Grateful Living. But before that, I just want to tell you, for those of you who may be new to the show is Gratefully Living the Chronic Life. Here, I've got a little, there we go. And it's a spinoff of my Facebook group, which is a closed group, Attitude of Gratitude with Chronic Pain. And if you live with a chronic physical and or emotional chronic pain, illness, disability, injury, we would love to have you in the group. We're a group that focuses on living joyful, fulfilling lives despite our struggles, which can be very difficult. And that's what our guest is going to help us with tonight. She's got quite a story. So for those of you that were here last week, we had an awesome episode with my friend Nicole Spatafora from Spatafloras on dirt therapy. I hope you all got your hands dirty and enjoyed nature over this past week. I got a lot of great feedback on that show. So it was pretty exciting. We've got a couple good shows coming up next week. Let's see if I can do this. Oh, here we go. Next week I am off, and I'll explain why when I'm talking to Kristi, because it sort of ties into the topic. But after that, we have the following week, April 22nd, we have Anastasia Bean coming on. She is a complex pain recovery coach and a friend of mine. We're on the board of trustees of Chronic Pain Anonymous together. And she's going to talk about how to thrive living in a recovery mindset. And can I do this? No, I can't. Hang on. We got more. There we go. After that, we have the wonderful Dan Millman, who wrote The Way of the Peaceful Warrior. He's coming on Thursday, April 29th. Super excited to have Dan on and hear his story. If you have not read Way of the Peaceful Warrior, I highly recommend it. It's a beautiful book, very inspiring and spiritual. And then the following week, this is a new guest who I teased about last week. Her name's Joy H. Selak. She's the author of You Don't Look Sick, Living Well with Chronic Invisible Illness. And she's got an amazing story too. So we've got some great guests coming up and great topics too. So without further ado, the hour is going to go very quickly. I know this, and I'm totally geeking out over our guest. I'm just going to bring her on right now. It's Kristi Nelson from A Network for Grateful Living and Gratefulness.org. Hi, Kristi.
Oh, hi, Lauren. I can't even imagine how happy I am. I'm just ecstatic. I'm geeking out over you.
Thank you. She just joined the group, and I'm like, Kristi Nelson, join the group. She has a new book out. I want you to tell Kristi about what you do with Network for Grateful Living and all that, but this is her book, Wake Up Grateful. It's one of those books that not only have I read through, well, you can see the stickies on the top and highlighting throughout it. It's something that I keep referring to because the information is so incredibly meaningful and helpful for me. And we're going to be talking specifically about a chapter she has called Savoring Uncertainty. I was lucky enough to attend a seminar, a free seminar that A Network for Grateful Living offered a few weeks ago on Savoring Uncertainty. I already booked Kristi as a guest, and then I emailed her and said, can we talk about this topic because it is so pertinent to today. So Kristi, thank you so much for being here. It's such a thrill.
I really belong here. This is a great thing. And I love what you're doing. And hello, everybody who's here. I'm so glad to join you.
So glad to have you. Let me tell you a little bit about Kristi, and then Kristi, you can fill in some blanks. Kristi Nelson is the executive director of A Network for Grateful Living. She has a master's degree in public administration from the Harvard Kennedy School and has spent more than 30 years in nonprofit leadership, development, and consulting. She has worked at the Center for Mindfulness in Medicine, Kripalu Center for Yoga, jealous, and Health, and the Soul of Money Institute. Kristi is also a stage 4 cancer survivor who cherishes living among friends and family in Western Massachusetts.
So I'm also a person who's been living with a chronic illness for 10 years. So it's interesting, that figures in here. It figures in uncertainty a lot. So
It does. And that's kind of why when I heard you were talking about that chapter, I'm like, I really need to find out more about this. And I was I was trying to be present in the seminar like we were supposed to be, but I was also writing down notes feverishly because it was just also learning how to flip the script, especially in these uncertain times, even if you don't live with chronic pain and illness. Kristi and I were talking a little bit prior to the broadcast where a lot of us are having something of re-entry anxiety with the country kind of opening up again, learning to be out in public again.
Yeah.
So Kristi, why don't you tell us a little bit before we get started on the topic, like how did you get to work for a network for Grateful Living? You work with the amazing brother, David Steindl Rast, who is like the father of gratitude and gratefulness.
He is. He's incredible. And some people may know him from his TED Talk or he's written books. He's 95 years old. He's a Benedictine monk. He's this extraordinary teacher, leader, wise person. I'm so lucky to get to work with him. And how did I get here? Well, gratitude has really mattered to me for a long time. And this work is so important because it's not just gratitude, it's living gratefully. So that's what the whole thing is. It's such a distinction, and gratefulness, as you know, we differentiate from gratitude because it's an inside job. It's something that everybody has access to. It's how we can orient to life. It's gratitude in every moment, gratitude from the inside out. And yes, I know, gratitude from the inside out. Nice shirt show.
I usually wear a different gratitude shirt every week, but I
love that one
for today.
I love that.
I was going to ask you that.
Yeah,
what the difference is between gratitude and gratefulness?
Yeah. So gratitude, as it's typically defined, is a reaction to something that happens that we want to have happen. That something that happens is usually highly conditional, right? So it's a very conditional state of being, our gratitude, and it's very fleeting. And so those are mostly the basic things. So gratitude is a reaction to something. It tends to be kind of transactional. Something happens to us. It's fleeting and it's conditional. Gratefulness is gratitude from the inside out, which means that it's unconditional. We can bring a grateful orientation to life no matter what our outside circumstances are. It's not just when things are going well and we get exactly the thing we want and the green light. We get all green lights, when we're going on the highway and whatever. And it's not fleeting, it's lasting. And it's not a reaction. It's an internal proactive approach to life. It's a proactive approach to life. So it means we are constantly holding in our awareness all that we can be grateful for. And so it orients us to life it's the way that we string grateful moments together is really gratefulness. And it's hard to do that unless you see it as an internal orientation, because you're waiting all the time for something outside of you to happen when you're waiting for gratitude inducing experiences, So we think it's a much more powerful way to live, because the power of gratitude, as you know, is so incredible for your body, your mind, and your spirit. So the power of gratitude for every aspect of your body, every aspect of your mental health, and your spiritual life, it kind of in every way, gratitude's a huge gift. It's a medicine. I think of it as medicinal. And so it gives us access to it all the time. Gratefulness does.
So gratitude is more of an immediate response to something. Is that what you're saying? But gratefulness is more a way of living.
Way of being. I call it a way of being. Gratefulness is a way of being. Grateful living is a way of life. So that's how we live our lives, is through grateful living. And it means like taking action. What does it mean? And I see that Jill just wrote, not waiting. Well, what's really cool is what I like to say is we often get wake-up calls in life, right? So wake-up calls can be being diagnosed with an illness. It can be having a near accident. Lots of things wake us up, right? And to me, gratefulness is about being awake to life, treasuring life, being aware of how precious and poignant it is, that it's fleeting, that nothing is promised us, right? So that we live in that highly enlivened, acute state. And we wait. So gratefulness waits for nothing. Gratitude waits for something good to happen. Gratefulness just waits for us to be awake.
Oh, wow.
I wanted to say that to Jill because Jill just wrote, Jill Cook. So gratefulness, so gratitude waits for something good to happen. Gratefulness just waits for us to be awake and to be awake to the preciousness of life. So that is available to all of us at all times.
Oh my gosh. What a fantastic way to word it. Beautiful.
Thank you.
Speaking of comments, we'll say hi. Karen's here. Seaton's here. Heidi's here. Hey, everybody. Pamela's here. Arlene, hello from Western Canada. Linda's
So nice.
here. Facebook user, if you're watching us from inside the group and you come up on my screen as Facebook user, it means that you haven't given StreamYard permission to use your name and photo because we're a closed group. So if you want to log out and log back in, you can, or you can leave yourself as Facebook user if that's what you're comfortable with. I should mention, it's very important actually, Kristi has been kind enough to, for our 1 year anniversary special episode, she's going to sign a copy of Wake Up Grateful and send it to one lucky winner. So if you comment tonight, or if you don't want to comment and you want to be entered, you can just put, what do we decide? Hashtag grateful. You can comment hashtag grateful. Anybody who comments at all, my niece Campbell is my new producer tonight, and she is keeping track of all of this for us. So any comment or hashtag grateful will get you entered to win. And thank you, Kristi, for offering that beautiful
So fun.
gift. Jill Cook's here. Hello. Margaret, hello from Utah. Karen hopes she wins. My sister's here. McKenna and the rest of the Portlands are
Kimberly
here.
Blanchard. Hi.
Yeah. Hi, everybody. So if you have any questions at all or comments for Kristi during this, please feel free to comment, and I'll get as many questions and comments as we can.
Yeah.
So, Kristi, you mentioned you had an illness, and you talk about that a lot in your book about your cancer. Do you want to talk about that a little bit? And because, talking about savoring uncertainty, of course, I think there's something everybody can relate to for sure. I mean, uncertainty is just so uncomfortable. The unknown is so uncomfortable. And when you live with a chronic pain and illness, you try to ease your discomfort as much as possible. Yeah. And for me at least, trying to control things with my illness led down a very dark path. So I've learned that I can't, but it's still a daily process. So you experienced this when you had stage 4 cancer. So what happened exactly?
I spent 9 months not knowing, right? So from the first moment I got sick until I was conclusively diagnosed was 9 months. And that was the longest 9 months I can imagine in my entire life, honestly. And I was an inpatient in the hospital a lot of that time because I had fevers of unknown origin, right? So I talk about it's the most crazy diagnosis. But I couldn't get out of the hospital. And also I was living with this whole thing of, I don't know what's going on with my body, but my body is doing completely wild and new things, spiking fevers up and down. They couldn't figure it out. And so there was some place in that experience where I had to let go because I would wait and hinge on knowing. All of my well-being hinged on knowing more. And so I would wait for the next test and I would subject myself to everything. And I didn't know. And then I was like, okay, now I'm going to know next week and I'm going to know after the next test. And then the next test would be inconclusive. And, and I went through that with the chronic illness that I've been dealing with too, since the cancer. So I think there's something so powerful about surrendering. For me, the surrender was so beautiful and so healing. Because I didn't know when I was so sick if I would ever know what was wrong with me. At some point I had to say, maybe I'm never going to have a conclusive diagnosis and a conclusive treatment plan and a conclusive prognosis. And how am I going to live into that? How am I going to lean into that truth and be okay anyway? And so that was a big journey for me. And then getting diagnosed with stage 4 cancer, that was not a great outcome because there is no stage 5. It's kind of like end of the road there. And so for me, it was pretty terrifying. I was 33 years old, but it taught me so much, and it taught me a lot. And I do talk about this in the book. I don't know if you've gotten to that part, but the difference between healing and curing. For me, I didn't know if I would ever be cured of this illness, but I learned to heal myself and heal my life in every moment by how I related to my life. And that was the gift that I could give myself, even if I didn't know if I was going to live another year, another 6 months. I had no idea how long I was going to live. Didn't look very optimistic, but I wanted to live in a healed state and take charge of the healing I could offer myself, because that's unconditional. So that unconditional part's so important. Yeah.
That's something I think a lot of us can relate to. I certainly can. I tell people that I have lupus, but in technical terms, I have undifferentiated connective tissue disorder.
Right.
So it's that undifferentiated part that you just, you want to pull your hair out. And then, of course, other things pop up over the years that are still like up in the air. And I mentioned to you that I was fortunate enough to go away to an inpatient program 8 years ago. And that's when I started my healing process. And kind of what we work on in Attitude of Gratitude with chronic pain is the now what's. What can I do to make my life, peaceful, joyful, and meaningful while having this? I tried to cure myself for a very long time. And the more I tried to control it, I just slipped deeper and deeper.
Yeah, I can relate completely. And I think that vigilance, which is kind of like, hanging your well-being on knowing everything and tuning in. So I think it's so hard on our nervous systems. So to try to heal ourselves and to be in a state of well-being at the same time that we're vigilantly giving our well-being away to knowing more, right? That's it's an internal contradiction. And we have to be able to hold a lot of contradictions, but I'm really convinced that there's this way that if we can just let go of that driven need to know, that there's so much beauty and ease and love that can await us. But it's like taking that leap of faith. It's really a leap of faith into that place. So
that trust.
Yeah.
That trust and that faith is very difficult. Even today, as much work as I've done, if I have a good day, I'll spend a lot of time thinking, all right, what did I eat yesterday? What did I do yesterday? Like, sometimes I have to just embrace the fact that I don't know. I may never know. And I just have to trust that it is what it is. I don't have to know. And that's sometimes a tough pill to swallow, pun sort of intended,
And, as somebody who has survived stage 4 cancer, a lot of people have looked to me to know what I did, because I'm still here 27 and a half years later. Like, that's just kind of unimaginable. How did that happen?
Yeah.
But people want to know, tell me what you did, in what order, what did you take? What did you try? And there are ways in which some of these things are important. But what I will say is, I really don't think there's a formula. I'm not a believer in formulas, because I think that for each person, it's so unique a journey and so different, honestly. And what works for one person, what's medicinal for one person, is poison for another. And so for me, what I say to people is, if you want to heal yourself, learn to trust your own intuition. There's no formula greater than trusting your own intuition. Learn to be your own barometer, your own touchstone, your own source of wisdom, so that you can be a tuning fork, so that people tell you what they think you should do, and you listen to yourself. You have a way to tune into yourself.
Right. And that can be tough to do too, I think, sometimes, because a lot of the times we're not comfortable in this body that we're in. So for me, at least, I'll run and run and run, trying to get away from myself instead of just being with me.
Yeah.
You know, and I know you talk about that as well.
Yeah.
But trusting myself again definitely took a while after I got sober. And then for those of us that have gone through the chronic illnesses, and you probably jumped from doctor to doctor, treatment to treatment, blah, blah, blah. We all know the same story, or very similar at least, and things don't work. Then you realize you kind of have to take matters into your own hands in a way with your own healing. And I never found any doctors that recommended in healing the emotional part of living with chronic pain and illness.
Yeah. And also, I mean, I have spent years looking for the right specialist and the person who could finally be the one who would be the savior and tell me that what was true. And I gave a lot of my power away. And so it was really empowering to take it back in some way for myself and to say, you know, what am I going to look for? So I think, you know, there's a chapter in the book called Treasuring the Body as It Is. And I think that's just a really extraordinary opportunity that we all have. What does it mean to treasure our bodies as they are, as opposed to I'll treasure my body when, or, you know, right. So I think that, and there's so much to treasure about the body, and we can fixate on what doesn't work or what's broken or what doesn't feel good. And there's all of this other terrain, this landscape that is so exquisite and so serving us all the time, and we neglect it and we deny it, and it's so tragic, you know, how much of a landscape the body is. And even with stage 4 cancer, which was all over my body and in my bones and everything, there was so much more working about my body than not working about my body. There was so much more that was functioning because it was keeping me alive. And so it was easy to lose perspective, though, you know, and I think that's one of the things that's really important, is to take perspective back. That's something that's available to us at all times, right? So I think there's ways to take perspective back.
You've got a great quote in the book, in that chapter, actually, that one of the many things I highlighted. Let's see if I can find it. The most important parts of us long for, oh no, that wasn't it, but this is good too. The most important parts of us long for the sincere invitation to show themselves and be acknowledged in both our brokenness and our beauty. I loved that. But based on what you had said, the one I wanted to refer to is, if all we ever did to inspire gratitude was turn our attention toward how much is effectively happening in our bodies without our efforts, we would find ourselves in a state of perpetual awe.
Awe. Totally true.
Yeah.
And it's one of the things that, you know, and I always like to say, it's like, if you're looking for the basis for gratefulness, you can make your body one of the most extraordinary terrains of practice at all times, which is to look at, you know, your senses. Can you, you know, what is serving your life? Your hands, your fingers, your ability to get up, you open your eyes. I mean, even with our limitations, what are all the things that we can do still? And what's happening inside the body at all times that is miraculous? That's just stunning, enough to take our breath away. And we have the ability to choose where to focus our attention. That's the ultimate freedom in some ways that we have, is to realize that.
So true.
And then to direct our attention where it serves us and serves life, right? So our life force, our aliveness is so enhanced when we focus on the things that are working, the things that are beautiful, the things that are in service to us. So that's the invitation of gratefulness, is to keep our attention really directed towards those things.
Such a great way to look at it. Such a great way to look at it. You mentioned that you might gift us with reading a little bit from that chapter. Did you have
Sure.
Again,
Sure.
Look, Everybody's Wake Up Grateful by our guest Kristi Nelson. And anybody who comments tonight or writes hashtag grateful will be put into a drawing. My niece Campbell has some Wheel of Fortune type thing. She's going to draw the name for us.
You can trust that it's going to be a well-judged event.
It is.
It's going to be trustworthy.
Kristi's with gratefulness.org. and a network for grateful living, which you can find on Facebook. And they've got a great Instagram page as well. They have questions of the day and all sorts of great quotes and stuff.
You're awesome, Lauren. And it's all
Thank
free.
you.
It's, one of the things that we're a small nonprofit organization, but we serve a lot of people who come 24/7 to our website. It's one of the things that's really nice is to find a website that's so beautiful. We call ourselves an online sanctuary.
It
So
really
come
is.
anytime. It's beautiful. Come anytime. You can listen, watch stories and read things. But I'll read, I got a couple little things marked here, but I'll just read on page 89. And this is one of my favorite quotes in the book, but this is in the Treasuring the Body as It Is chapter. And this is called Awaken a Sense of Possibility for the Body. And I said to my body softly, I want to be your friend. It took a long breath and replied, I have been waiting my whole life for this. That's Nayira Waheed. And it's the most beautiful quote. It's so beautiful. The mind-body connection is one of the most powerful relationships we have. Our intentions, self-talk, beliefs, fears, and longings all have impact. Our cells are reacting, dying, and being born in every moment, allowing for the body to both suffer an illness and transform from it. This transformation is not brought about by the will to correct the disobedient body you have, nor is it based on judgment disguised as self-love. Rather, it is a transformation at the level of collaboration, cooperation, compassion, and care, all available to us at any time as healing. Healing is not the same as curing. Curing implies putting something completely behind us, out of sight, out of mind. Healing brings everything with it, with thanks for the lessons learned. Whether a cure is accessible or not, we can always heal, and we can always be an agent of healing for others. Leaning in with compassion and appreciation, we can nurture our connection to our bodies as we would care for a beloved child. This is a healing we need not wait for, and it is one that can never be undone. When we entertain a sense of possibility, we move forward from exactly where we are and exactly who we are. We do not need to wait to be better, different, or perfectly anything. We open ourselves to dreams and visions of what can be, mindful of the ever-present array of opportunities. With practice, we can focus our attention on all that is intact, all that serves us, and continually remind ourselves that we are fully alive right now, and that being alive is an extraordinary, unconditional gift.
Beautiful.
Yeah, it was so much fun to write. It was so beautiful to write something that I really wanted to have be a source of nourishment for people. So kind of like Lauren, you're such a beautiful person reading this book, because I intended it to be something you could open to at any page at any time and receive a gift that would speak right to your heart.
Yeah, the chapters, the chapters just they really catch your eye and make you go right to them. I was going to read a couple of them for the Savoring Uncertainty, of course. That was Treasuring the Body as It Is. She just read from Appreciating Our Emotions, Befriending Our Full Selves, Cherishing Connection, Holding the Heart of Grief and Loss, Belonging in Nature, Celebrating Sufficiency, Healing a Hurting World, and Living a Grateful Legacy.
Oh, yeah. Oh, I loved writing those. One time I read the chapter titles to somebody, and she was like, that was like having a therapy session, just the chapter titles, because it is, using words like, to savor uncertainty. It's kind of like, oh, how do we hold that? Appreciating all of our emotions, to really just to celebrate the fact that we're emotional beings with this whole big, beautiful world of emotions, and how lucky we are, because what if we didn't have any? That would be a really profound experience to not have access to a single emotion. And so the price that we pay is to have this big full range, and how beautiful it is to be vulnerable, to be an emotional person. I just think, so how do we celebrate what is about ourselves? We have so many ways that we're trying to be something different. And I just love this idea of how do we befriend who we really are as we are.
As we are. And then sort of tying in the other topic of savoring uncertainty too, how do we go about savoring uncertainty? How do we do that? You've got some beautiful things that you've written in the book as far as, talking about if we knew everything that would happen, your words were much more elegant, but knew everything that would happen, we wouldn't have any wonder or awe, which is really the source of gratitude, isn't it? Wonder.
Yeah.
I know a lot of my blessings have come from unexpected moments that I didn't plan out. And what's that quote? When you make plans, God laughs, or something like that.
Yeah. And I think that, it's really good to have aspirations and intentions. It's also really good to be unattached to so much, because our assumptions and expectations create so much suffering for us, right? So that all of those places where we build up a sense of expectancy, we can also really hurt ourselves on some level too. So how do we welcome life as it is? And what I encourage people to do is to reframe uncertainty as mystery, right? So to see, as opposed to uncertainty being the absence of something, to have it be the presence of mystery. And that mystery is this extraordinary, huge place of possibility, all of what's unknown and what's exquisite inside there. And there's, I think we're taught to be scared of mystery and of uncertainty and what it might hold. But everything wonderful that's ever happened in our lives that we didn't expect, which is most wonderful things that happen in our life. They're not things that we orchestrate. They're things that we're awake to, that we open our eyes to, that we allow in, that we stumble upon, that surprise us. All of those things live in mystery. And so we can't lose the challenges of mystery without losing the exquisite nature of mystery as well. Like if we try to control everything, we lose it all. So that's, if you shut yourself off to pain, you shut yourself off to joy on some level. Like we're just shutting off it, and we don't discriminate, like the mind and we don't discriminate against those things. We just lose it all. And so how can we be more open to whatever's true? That's really just begging for I love, there's something great. Our fears just want to be held. That's a great.
Oh, I love that. I've never heard.
I think that's Mark Nepo. He's a great poet and writer. Yeah. But our fears just want to be held. I can read this little chapter, this little section here, if you want one more.
Please.
Okay. This is about awakened possibility in uncertainty. So, and the quote is the willingness to consider possibility. It's page 73. The willingness to consider possibility requires a tolerance of uncertainty. So if you're going to look for what's possible in life, it requires a tolerance of uncertainty. And that's Rachel Naomi Remen, who's one of just my favorite writers. And this is what Lauren was talking about before. Everyone who has ever lived, in their action and inaction, has shaped the world we occupy. The unknown future is the most inspiring invitation we can possibly hope for. How different would it be if everything were already certain? If life's grand plan were 100% written without you or your forthcoming contributions folded into the story? Knowing that life is uncertain invites us to know that our actions matter and can make a difference. If there were no mystery, we could simply sit still and witness life unravel before our eyes like a movie. You would be a passive observer, excused from showing up for life. We could forgive ourselves our indifferences because there would be no opportunity to make a difference. But life is no movie. The uncertain future awaits your particular presence, participation, and points of impact. Cultivating curiosity for the unknown ahead and courage for your yet unknown role in it is paramount to living gratefully. You are the through line of your own story. You are the through line for the future. You are the constant that possibility is constantly awaiting. To invest in the future while embracing the vast unknown is to hold a powerful paradox in our hands. Waking up to our lives exactly as they are, with appreciation for what we know and do not know, and making use of this opportunity to shape the best future for ourselves and the world, is our heart's calling. When we allow ourselves to remember and trust that there is nothing more we need to know in order to live fully, we will find ourselves more available to life, and life infinitely more available to us.
I love, love, love that last sentence. I highlighted the heck out of that. When we allow ourselves to remember and trust that there's nothing more we need to know in order to live fully, we will find ourselves more available to life, and life infinitely more available to us.
Yeah. It's true.
So true. It is true. Easier said than done sometimes.
Easier said than done.
What do you do on a daily basis to kind of live as gratefully as you can?
Well, just I have practices, which is, I think, what intention and attention shape our experience, right? So what you attend to and what you intend, those are the big ways that we shape, and we can influence those all the time by our choices about how we direct our mental energy. And so one of the things I try to do is I have quotes and I have prompts that I use a lot to return. They're very personal, right? So for everybody, they're different. Like, what are the things that I can remember? And one of them for me is that there might not be a tomorrow. What are you going to do about today? So for me, that's like, if I say that to myself, there might not be a tomorrow. So what are you going to do about today? It's like, oh my gosh. Okay. Whoa, wait a minute. Okay. That's like, get perspective. Because so much of my grumpy complaining and everything is often banking on the idea that there's more time. And so then it's okay to waste today because of there's going to be other days. Well, what if there aren't? What if this is it? You know? And so for me, I find that really powerful. I have a lot of practices in the book, like the have to get to exercise, which I think is incredibly powerful for people who are dealing with chronic illness and who have really busy, full, challenging lives, which so many of us do, which is to, whenever I find myself saying, I have to do this, I have to do that, I have to do, go to this appointment, I have to go to this meeting, I have to take care of this person. I have two older, I have my dad and my stepdad are both people who need care. I have two kids, stepkids. So it's like, there's all these things like I have to. Mm-hmm. And then I switch it as soon as my mind starts to feel beleaguered, and it's like, I've got to, and then I think I get to take all of those have to's. If you ever want to really switch something from how you feel burdened and beleaguered to how you can feel privileged and feel a sense of opportunity, switch I have to, all the ways in which you hear I have to. And this is a very powerful invitation for anybody in this group, which is, you will find yourself saying it to yourself all the time. I have to do this, I have to do that, I have to do this, I have to do that. I mean, for me, it's like chores and errands and needing the things and lists and all the stuff. And then if I just switch that to, I get to do this chore, I get to do this errand, I get to take care of this person, because the truth is, there are a lot of people who would love to be able to do the things that we can do, and they can't. Right. And my former self couldn't do some of the things that I can do now. And who I'm going to be in the future is not going to be able to do what I can do now. And so to say, I get to drive to the store and go grocery shopping for my stepdad it's like, wow, I get to, I don't have to, I get to, because I have a car, I can drive, I have people I love, to affirm it as what is all the opportunity living inside of the things in our lives that we have to do. And how are we privileged? Because there's a lot of people in the world who would give anything to have a car and a grocery store and to still have their stepfather alive.
Yes.
Right. So it's like, don't forget the blessings that are inherent inside a lot of things that we can often feel burdened by.
And then there's a lot of talk when you're talking about gratitude being like a muscle, and the more that you work it, the gratefulness, the more that you work it, it gets a little bit easier. Do you believe that?
Oh yeah, totally.
Yeah.
I mean, for me, I think, so I think that if you can keep finding ways to redirect your attention and to direct your attention. So it's Brother David, who started our organization. He says, stop, look, go. So stop is, stop, look, go, a workbook. So stop, look, go is the practice of grateful living, which is basically you can't be grateful unless you're present. So being present, being fully present is the starting ground. So that's stop, become present, be in your body, be in your experience, really be in whatever's true for you in the moment. And then look around you, look for beauty, look inside you, look at your body, look at notice everything around you. And I titled the book, The Transformative Practice of Taking Nothing for Granted, because gratefulness is the 180-degree opposite of taking life for granted. So if you want to live in a state of gratefulness at all times, notice what are the things that you walk by and take for granted all the time. When you turn on the water in the morning, when you turn on your electricity in the morning, when you get in a hot shower in the morning, when you put on your clothes and you have clothes that you can wear, that you like, every single thing in your life, if you uplift it and appreciate it as opposed to taking it for granted. Oh, here's this again. Oh, here's that person again. Oh, here's the cereal again. Oh, here's my here's my
Right.
water. Here's my electricity. I think looking for what we take for granted and uplifting it and in our awareness is such a powerful practice. And so just look. And sometimes it's also difficult. One of the reasons why I wrote the book is it's difficult. Not all of us live in lives where we can look around all the time and say, oh, look at all the amazing, beautiful things I see.
Right.
Some people have really hard lives and there's really difficult circumstances that a lot of us are dealing with. And how do we navigate gratefulness in that space? To me, that's about gaining perspective, which is, oh, there could be no tomorrow. Oh, relative to other people, like my worst day can be somebody else's best day.
Good point.
How do I not forget those things? I want to stay remembering those things because it uplifts the truth about the privileges I have available to me and the opportunities. And then go is do something with the gifts of your attention, with gifts of your gratitude, with the gifts of your noticing, with your privileges. Make a difference in the world. Do something for yourself, for somebody. Give something away.
Yeah.
Just be generous. Gratitude is the foundation of generosity. I like to say that people really think, we were trained when we were young that to be grateful is a response to generosity. Right. I think generosity is the outgrowth of being grateful. That the more grateful we are, the more generous we're going to be. And so instead of starting with, what do I have to do that? It's like, just be in that. Brother David says, it's not happiness that makes us grateful. It's gratefulness that makes us happy.
Very famous quote. I love it.
It's such a beautiful quote. Yeah. Mm-hmm. It's not happiness that makes us grateful. It's gratefulness that makes us happy. That's a good one to put up there, which is like, if you can't be happy with what you have, like if you're not grateful for what you already have, and it's not making you happy, who's to say that more is going to make you happy?
That's right. It won't. You're just striving for something that will, nothing will ever fill that void, the outside stuff, as you were saying. It's gratefulness, gratitude inside out, right?
Yeah.
Let's see if we have any questions or comments for you, Kristi. I'm just, I hope you guys are enjoying what she has to say as much as I do, because she's just got such great insight. Hello, Diana. Got some people entering the
comments. Many nice people.
Hello from Amanda. Thanks for offering.
Thanks, Sarah.
Tonight. Thanks, Amanda.
Yeah.
Glad you're here. Healing, not curing. That's where I am. This makes so much sense.
Lovely.
Yes. Surrender used to mean for me is waving the white flag and giving up.
Yeah. It's interesting what idiopathic. It's interesting what we're giving up, right? So to give up is interesting. That's got such a negative
It
connotation. But
does.
what does it mean to give up? It can be to give up to a higher power. It can mean to give up control. It can mean to give up vigilance. It can mean to give up suffering. So there's like, when you're waving the white flag, it's like, I'm giving up on all of this life of the ways that I've created suffering for myself.
Right.
And there's enough suffering in the world. How can I make my path easier? I give up. I give up all the ways in which I've hurt myself. And that's a really good surrender to do.
I agree. I say, my viewers know this. I say it just about every week. I never say that I suffer. I say that I struggle.
Yeah.
But I never say that I suffer, because I believe suffering is a state of mind that we create ourselves.
Yeah.
You can struggle on some days with pain, but I refuse to suffer. I used to suffer. I want to make sure that nobody else ever has to suffer, which is, why I try to talk to as many people as possible. Jill's a work in progress.
Aren't we all? Go, Jill.
Now surrender means to let go of. I envision releasing a bunch of balloons with a word or two on each balloon. Pain, control, frustration, anger. Good idea.
Nice. Resentment. That's another one. Resentment's so hard on,
Treasuring the body meant to me was to just let go and let the universe take control. I'm a 3-time cancer survivor. I focused my attention on serving others and finding joy daily. Good job, Karen. Hi, sounds great. Wake up grateful. All right, you're in the running. Thank you, Kristi, for allowing the opportunity of the gift of your book.
You're welcome.
I loved that reading, Kristi. I feel so grateful to be here in this moment. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Arlene.
Goosebumps on the body being your friend quote. So moving.
Isn't that beautiful?
I've posted that in the group a few times. It really is.
Good.
I love that poet. So beautiful. I love this. Me too. Gift received, Kristi. Cognitive dissonance is scary, but can be so rewarding.
That's so true. Nicely put.
Mystery. Yes, this is a fabulous way to look at uncertain moments. I like that.
There's a bunch of, hi from Vancouver, Heather. There's a bunch of practices in the book, actually. The book I filled with practices because I feel like I wanted to do something that was not just philosophical and poetic, but also really practical. Mm-hmm. And there's a lot of practices that I really enjoyed, which were about asking people to create a relationship to mystery that's really robust. Like to really imagine mystery as having a presence and having a kind of a heft to it, a sense of what does it feel like? What is it? What is your sense of mystery, so that it's something that you can truly befriend, as opposed to the absence of something. Where like and how is it that you encounter mystery, and what kinds of feelings does it? Because I think when we're on the top of a mountain, when we're under a big sky full of stars, when we're on the edge of the ocean, when we're all kinds of different places, and for different people, it's different places. But I think we can experience that sense of mystery, and it feels really gentle and friendly. So I think it's important to cultivate and deepen that relationship, because then in times of uncertainty, you can say, oh, this is just mystery, and create a different way of holding it, so that it brings up those feelings that the beach or the mountaintop or the starry sky, brings incredible comfort as opposed to fear.
I love that, because a lot of us think of mystery or the unknown or all that. It's automatically a bad thing.
Yeah.
If we try to flip the script and tell ourselves, look at mystery in the way that you were just describing, that would open us up to being maybe more receptive to things that happen to us that we weren't expecting, and more appreciative too, I would imagine, from what you're saying.
Totally. Absolutely. And I think, it was a huge mystery the only mystery held the 27 and a half years I've lived since stage 4 cancer. Like mystery, it was mysterious. I had no idea how long I was going to live. It's still a mystery. Like, so it's all because in the uncertain future, all of the most extraordinarily amazing things are held there. as well as the things we're afraid of, but we tend to fill that space of not knowing with just the things that scare us. But
Right.
it holds everything beautiful and everything promising and all possibility as well. So we don't want to get rid of uncertainty and mystery in this sweep. We want to really embrace it and befriend it more and more and more, I think, because it's the truth. It's where we all live all the time. And COVID has really put us squarely, I think, this pandemic, intimately with uncertainty. We've become very intimate with uncertainty. And in many ways, as much as it's difficult, it's also really important. It's important.
And I think, everybody looks at 2020 in general as a bad year.
Yeah.
And it was for a lot of people.
It was.
But there's also a lot of good that came from it. A lot of us learned how to do things and, be flexible and learn to do things in a different way. It certainly hasn't been easy, but we were forced to look at the mystery, weren't we? Because who saw this coming?
We had no idea how long it was going to last.
No.
And we had no idea, and we still don't. It's like there's so much that's unknown, and I think what's good about that is people say, "Oh, we're so in touch with it." Yes, and it's always there. So the truth is, uncertainty is always there, but it became much more acute this past year.
So true.
Really was always in our face in a much different way. So
true. And who knows what's going to be happening in the future as far as, will we ever return to that, normalcy that we had prior, or, it really is just a big unknown. People are getting vaccinated now, and you're kind of like, now what,
Yeah. I think we live in, I love that word liminal. I don't know if you know, but we live in a liminal place. Oh, liminal is such a beautiful word. I love introducing a new word. Liminal is this space in between. So there's like liminal spaces. And when you wake up in the morning, before you're fully awake, but you're no longer asleep, it's a liminal space. It's it's like, it's this kind of, the world between things, when you've left one way of being, but you haven't entered another yet, right? So you've left behind, say you've left all these rituals and parts of your life that I was thinking about sobriety. So you've left you've left a drinking life, but you haven't yet become sober. There's this liminal space in between where everything is very vivid and very available to you. It's not yet known. You don't yet know where you're going to go, but you've stepped out of something, away from something. You stepped off a cliff. Oh, there's the most beautiful saying. Let me fall if I must. The one I will become will catch me.
Oh, that's beautiful.
Let me fall if I must. The one I will become will catch me. That's a beautiful quote. So yeah, and you can sign up at Gratefulness for, we send out a quote a day. There's a subscribe button at the top of the homepage at gratefulness.org. And we send out a word for the day, quote every day. We have a daily question, which Lauren was talking about. We send out a poem every month. We have a beautiful newsletter. We have a member of the
group who actually posts. She gets the emails and she posts them in our group.
Good. Yeah, they're really good quotes. We work really hard, and we have great questions. And yeah,
you do have great questions, and they're always very much. We do a daily question in the group too, but I'm always so struck by yours because they're just so having to look really, really deep in ourselves. And that's how we heal, isn't it? By looking deep in ourselves. Yeah. Let's get a couple more comments. I absolutely love that. Excuse me. Arlene says, when I plant bulbs in the fall, I plant because of the possibility of flowers in the spring. I also know that there is uncertainty that they will all come up, but I anticipate the beauty, and regardless of what shows up in my flower bed, I am grateful.
It's beautiful.
So on board with the power of our chosen replaced words and thoughts. Yes, love the I get to statements instead of I have to. Me too. Be intentional, be observant. Uncertainty opens the way for adventure. Everybody's getting it here, Kristen.
I know, I'm so happy.
My feelings of anger and rejection increase my chronic pain. Yes.
Absolutely.
They do. Nicole, love that liminal. I do too. I assume it's related to subliminal.
Well, look it up, and it's so beautiful. It's kind of like there's many stages in our lives that are liminal stages where we're leaving a way of being and we haven't yet fully entered the next way of being. And so really in truth, there's a lot of our life right now that is that way, and it's a beautiful way to hold it. I think of it as diaphanous. I don't know, diaphanous. There's a kind of there's fabric that's diaphanous. It's like it's very floaty and beautiful. And I picture liminal being that way. It's like just this really ethereal place to be, because you've left something and you don't know where you're going completely, but you're in this really amazing place where everything's possible. So I think right now we really are in that place.
I love that, liminal. That's
liminal.
You need to make that your word of the day. And great. So gratefulness.org and a network for grateful living. Love that. So unfortunately, I can't believe the hour's up already. This stinks. But so for anybody who's comment, the book is called Wake Up Grateful by Kristi Nelson.
Thank you.
Just wanted to plug these as well. The Network for Grateful Living also has, Kristi took part in this book as well. It's this great little book with these wonderful pieces of artwork and gratitude quotes and questions. They offer just so much. You're welcome. I love gratefulness.org. And Kristi was talking about Stop, Look, Go. Brother David Steindl-Rast wrote this along with some other people, I think.
Yeah.
Kind of a workbook on being allowing gratefulness into our lives.
Yeah.
So, and one more thing, I found this today. There's a free kind of study guide that goes along with her book, Wake Up Grateful. Yeah. You can get that on gratefulness.org. So we have my niece is going to try to share the screen, and we're going to pick a winner. Let's see if we can.
Yes, Karen, you can buy the book on Amazon. I can't believe how inexpensive it is right now.
Yeah, I know it's down.
It was so expensive in the beginning. I mean, it was $26.95, and on Amazon right now it's $17.99. I shouldn't say, but oh my gosh, look at that.
Look at Campbell. Look what you did.
How do you do this? My goodness.
Let me see. Oh, do I click to spin it, or do you, Campbell? Oh, there you go. Gosh. This is so cool.
Thank you, Amanda. Thank you, Heather.
Oh, Seton Silver.
Oh my God, I've never seen anything like this.
Yay, Seton won at our 6-year birthday party for Attitude of Gratitude with Chronic Pain. She won like 3 prizes.
Oh so my gosh.
You're a lucky woman, Seton. You know what, Campbell, are you able to spin it again? Because I actually have an extra copy. Now, the one Kristi's going to send out is autographed, but I did buy, because it was down in price, an extra copy. So we'll give out one more copy of these. So go ahead, Campbell, if you can spin it again. Congratulations, Seton.
I hope Seton's still there.
I have her address. I can get it for you. We have, who is that? Sarah Garrison. Yay, Sarah.
Oh, Sarah Garrison just congratulated Seton. That's great. Well, this is the most fun. This is the most fun little group.
It is great. And we've got some new names here who aren't in the group. So welcome. Congrats to Seton. Kristi, thank you so much for being here. I would love to see you on again sometime if you would ever grace us. You offer so much knowledge for everyone.
I would be so thrilled. Thank you all. I'm just bowing to all of you. And that's Elizabeth. Is that Elizabeth Silver? Seton? Great. Yep. Hi. Okay. So please all take care, and I'm honored to spend this time with you. And I just can't believe, Lauren, what a gift you are. You are such a beautiful gift to this community and to the world. I'm so glad to know.
That means so much coming from you. Thank you very much. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in live. If you're watching us recorded, thank you also for watching. And I hope you get as much out of this hour as I did. Love you all.
Thank you all. Bye.
Peace and joy. Take care. Off next week. Don't forget, no broadcast next week. Bye, gang.
Bye. Stay grateful.
Stay grateful.